Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Wheeler Centre. My name is Alex Landragin. I'm the managing editor here, and it's my great pleasure to welcome tonight one of a compelling voice in world literature, I believe, and that's Liao Yiwu, and our translator for tonight is Li Ling. Please make them feel very welcome. I'll introduce Liao Yiwu for you, and then Liao's going to play some music for us to begin the event tonight. Liao is a poet, an author, a filmmaker, a musician, and he's currently living in exile in Germany since May as the result of government suppression of his work in China. He was born in 1958 at the time of the Great Leap Forward and lived through the Cultural Revolution. During the 1980s, he established a reputation as a poet and was for a brief time a government writer. He's the author of the epic poem Massacre, which he wrote following the events of June the 4th, 1989, the Tiananmen Square massacre, and the creator of a film called Requiem, which was a follow-up to the poem. Those creations led to a 4-year prison term and his blacklisting as a writer. His experience in prison was a traumatic one for him, and upon his release he led a nomadic existence and made a living for a time as a travelling musician. His non-fiction works include The Corpse Walker, a collection of 27 interviews taken from a bigger collection of 60 interviews published in Chinese in 2001. The full title is The Corpse Walker and Other True Stories of Life in China, and it's published in Text Publishing, by Text Publishing. And after the event, copies will be available for sale at the back of the room. He's also written a report on Chinese Christianity called God is Red, which has been published into English, although it's not available locally. And there is a forthcoming prison memoir called Testimonials, which is currently being translated into English. Liao Yiwu is now going to play some music for us, and I'd like to begin by asking him, what is he going to play for us?
刚才呢，先介绍了一下整个。您是出生在1958年，在大跃进和文革的年代。就80年代呢，是当了诗人。后来呢，因为写《大屠杀》这个诗入狱4年，后来也拍过电影。然后在以后呢，这个出狱以后呢，还当过一个做音乐的人，靠音乐为生一段时间。然后出版的书呢，现在是有这个《感诗者》这么一本书，还包括其他《上帝是红的》，还有其他正在工作的一些书。在采访结束以后呢，后面有书可以卖。现在呢，作为开始，想您为我们先会表演1、2种乐器，先跟我们介绍一下您打算要演奏的是什么乐器。
这个是藏传佛教寺庙里面的转经钵，它这个转经钵，它本来不是乐器，它是和尚来念经用的。就是说，这样转动一圈，相当于人的生命的一个轮回，就是一个轮回。然后我是把它当成一个乐器。
Yeah, the first instrument I'm going to play is called a Tibetan bowl. Actually, this is not a musical instrument. This is actually what Tibetan monks use when they recite all the Buddhism scripts. So they would use the stick to turn it around and around within this bowl. So one cycle, that means a life cycle to them.
这个是中国传统的，它叫箫。这种箫呢，它是一个中国的特有的一个乐器。就中国有2种乐器，它是最能够代表中国，一个就是这个箫，一个就是古琴。那么这个箫呢，这个古琴它是一个士大夫，也就是知识分子弹的，但是这个它就是那个就是隐居的那些人吹的这么一个东西。
Yeah. The second instrument I'm going to play is a Chinese flute. Actually, this flute is very unique to China. This is one of the two unique instruments China has. This is the flute, and the next instrument that is unique to China is called a Chinese seven-string zither. So, in my mind, flute is an instrument. Those people who like to hide away in mountains, those people like to play flute. But the seven-string zither is something Chinese intellectuals like to play.
这个乐器是我在监狱里面学会的。这个监狱里面，我的师傅他是一个老和尚，他当时是我的那所监狱年龄最大的这么一个罪犯。他当时已经84岁。对于他来说，就说好像就是坐牢好像就是另外一种隐居了，就是。
I learned how to play Chinese flute when I was in prison. I learned it from an elderly monk. He is about 84 years old when he was in prison with me, and he is the oldest prisoner in my cell. To him, actually, the prison life to him is just another type of hideaway from society.
黄河的水沟流，妈妈的泪干流。黄河的泪干流，妈妈的乳房干流。黄河妈妈的乳房干流，黄河的泪 妈妈的乳房干哟，妈妈的乳房干哟。
Thank you very much. That was lovely.
感谢您，非常好。
Was there a name to the piece you've just played for us?
您刚才弹奏的这2个有名字吗？
第一个它是叫黄河的水干了，它是流传在中国宁夏、青海和陕西的这么一个曲调，但是这个词这个词是我写的，我把它重新写了这么一个。
The first one is called "The Yellow River is Dry." This piece is from the west of China, the provinces of Ningxia,
宁夏、青海
and Qinghai,
然后陕西
and Shanxi province. Yeah, they are all provinces in West China.
对，他的意思就是说，黄河的水干了，妈妈的泪干了；黄河的泪干了，妈妈的乳房干了。
It says the Yellow River is dry, and mom's tear is dry. The Yellow River is dry, and mom's breast is dry.
对，这就是我看到的一切，可能就是这个也代表，那个中国文化它走到今天，已经到了一个就是河床已经是彻底干掉了这么一个情景。
To me, it symbolizes Chinese culture. I think Chinese culture till today is just like Yellow River is drying up.
对，这样一种情景，可能是和那个中国政府他们的那些人，他们的那些给你们宣传的这个经济腾飞的形象，肯定是不太一样。
Yeah, what I see in China probably is totally different from what the government want the West to see. The Chinese government probably want the West to see the developed economy in China.
It's a good thing that you learned to play music in prison, because when you came out of prison, you made a living as a musician for a time on the street. And in fact, the street is a big part of your work and the people of the street. Can you tell us about that time and what you learned?
在牢里能学会弹乐器也很不错，出来呢还能靠就是音乐来赚钱生活。就是出来以后呢，在街上您接触到的很多人，其实也是将来成为您书中一些很重要的一些角色。可不可以跟我们谈一下，就您从监狱里出来，在街头卖艺的那生活是什么样的？
其实我这个学我这个吹箫，这你们刚才已经看见了，它这个箫它是一个很偶然的一个情况，就是他当时就是在1992年的冬天，然后我就站在那个院子里面，那个院子里面有很多犯人。然后呢，我就看到那个雪花飘飘的那个半空当中，就是传来了一个声音，当时就是这么一个箫声，但是啊，我当时不明白这到底是个什么那样的声音。
Yeah, how I learned to play this Chinese flute is really accidental. I remember that was in 1992 in winter. I was standing in the yard and it was snowing, and suddenly I heard this sound of this music, and I was wondering what that was.
当时我非常的好奇，然后我就问旁边的犯人，我说这到底是什么声音？他说是箫声，这是一个老和尚吹的。这个老和尚他是一个反革命就是说一个政治犯，做了很多年，然后他每天都在吹。他说你难道没有听见吗？但是我说的确，我可能以前就是耳朵不好，他每天都在吹，我的确是没有听见。
And I was very, very curious, so I asked the other prisoners, I said, what is that? And the other people told me, the other prisoners said, that is the traditional Chinese flute. You didn't hear it before. Actually, it's an old monk who is playing it. That old monk is a political prisoner for many, many years, and he has been playing it every day. So why you didn't hear that before? I said, really, I didn't hear that before. That's the first day I heard it.
然后我就想找到这个老和尚，然后我就，因为监狱里面它是很多个单元，就说这个我的这个监区和他的那个监区它是太不一样，但是幸好里面没有警察，我可以就是买几包烟，然后就贿赂那个看门的这么一个人，然后我就把几包烟给他，然后他就允许我去见这个老和尚，然后我就是在那个监狱里面，然后就是沿着那个围墙走，终于找到这个声音的出处，声音的来源。
And then I tried to look for this old monk. Actually, the prison is separated, is divided into different units, and the unit I belong to and the unit he belonged to were totally different. So how could I find him? The policemen were not there. Inside, what we had was just some guards inside. So I bought several packs of cigarettes. So I bribed the guards. I said I wanted to look for that old monk, and they allowed me to walk around within the prison. So I just tried to, I followed the music along the fence, and finally I found him.
对，我就看见了那个墙，非常高的墙。那个墙就是高的可能有个4-5个人那么高的那个墙，那个阳光只能够照到那个墙的顶部，它的顶部，然后墙上面还有电网的还有几只麻雀在那儿跳来跳去，在叽叽喳喳的笑。墙的那个外面呢，它因为我们那个监狱它是群山当中。群山，然后就是只能望见那个山峰，那个老和尚就缩成很小的那么一点，然后他因为冷，然后穿了一个棉袄，就这么就是非常小，他把自己缩得非常小，就在那儿吹。
So the picture I saw was something like this. The wall is very, very high. It was probably 4 or 5 people's height. And on that high wall, there were so many electric or those metal mesh thing. And outside, you could see high mountains because this prison was built within mountains. And this monk, and he was sitting against the wall, and he was so little, he was squatting, he was even sitting on the floor, and because it was very cold, and he was wearing a very heavy coat. So he was sitting against the wall on the ground, and that made him look very small against the tall wall and all the mountains outside the wall, and he was playing the Chinese flute there.
然后他就在这儿吹，不断的，我看是一个很短的曲子，他就是重复了很多遍，重复了太多遍了。但是我当时觉得这个非常的打动我，我就站在他面前，他也不知道跟前有一个人，他可能就在吹他自己的经历，可能没有办法向别人的诉说，然后我就站在他面前听他吹这个曲子。
Yeah, and I found him. He didn't see me, so I was standing right in front of him, but he just didn't notice. He was playing the same melody again and again and again. So probably he was just trying to express himself with the same melody. And I was standing there, and he didn't notice.
对他那个吹的，可能就是觉得吹了很久吧，然后他就突然睁开眼睛，居然看见前面站着一个人。然后他就这么愣愣的把我给望着，然后他就说，最后就说你想学是不是？我说我想学，然后就是我就从此以后我就跟他学这个箫，然后呢我也知道他吹的这个曲子就叫苏武牧羊，就是写那个中国古代的一个犯人，就是一个政治犯，他流放到西北边陲。然后他可能就是流放到那个地方，因为他是关在敌人的那个国家，他很多年不能回到自己的家乡。
Yeah. So I was standing there for a very, very long time, and finally he opened his eyes, and he was shocked to see someone standing there. And he was looking at me also for quite a long time, and suddenly he asked, do you want to learn how to play this? I said yes. So from that day I started to learn how to play Chinese flute from him. And I also learned that melody he was playing is called Shu Wu, the shepherd. What that was about is in ancient China there was a political prisoner. His name is called Shu Wu, and he was in exile in northwest China, and there he became a shepherd in a foreign country, and he couldn't return home for many years.
然后这个老和尚我就知道他坐的牢比我要长得多。我在的时候他已经坐了10几年，就是我就不明白一个已经是就是坐了这么牢的人，他怎么样度过他的那个这么一个非常严酷的这么一个人生的这么一个过程。我当时就是在问他，我说你这些年怎么过来的？他说其实啊，这个世界本来就是一个大监狱，小的也是坐，大的也是坐，有强的也是坐，没有强的我们还是在坐牢。这个有什么区别呢？这真是没有什么区别。那如果说你要做一个自由人的话，你就是不断的越狱，不断的逃跑，就是越狱。
So I was also amazed how long he stayed in that prison, because obviously he was there before me, and I heard when I went to prison he was already there for more than 10 years. So I was wondering, under such hardship, how could he survive in the prison for so long? So I asked him, all these years, how did you survive all these years? And he told me something interesting. He said, the society is a big prison. This is a small prison. No matter where you are in prison. So probably you need to break a prison. If you want to be free, then you need to break the prison many times.
Now that you have left China and you're based in Berlin, do you feel as if you have left a prison?
那你现在离开了中国，现在呢，应该是说在德国居住，就是那你觉得现在是离开了牢房了吗？
我觉得就是说很多流亡者都没有离开那个中国的那个牢房。我因为从德国到美国，然后到澳洲，接触了很多的流亡者，他们的就是无论是关注也罢，然后就是恐惧也罢，都没有离开中国的那个牢房，因为他们还关注那个牢房里面发生的一些事情。但是我是记住我师父的话，无论我卖艺也罢，然后怎么样也罢，我就记得我是一个中国传统文化传统出来的这么一个人。只要我身上有古书，有史记，有司马迁的史记，有那个易经，我就能够随时回到我的家乡。但是我那个家乡只是那个古书上面的家乡。
Yeah, I don't feel that. I feel actually, I don't think many people they are in exile in other countries they feel free. Since I left China early this year, I have met many people in exile in United States and in Germany, and many of them they are not free. They still experience the horror, and they often pay attention to what's going on in that prison back home. So in that sense, we are not free. We are not out of that prison. But I always remember what my master told me. No matter what you do, you are someone who grew up under the influence of Chinese traditional culture. So to me, as long as I carry the books I love, they are the history written by Sima Qian. That's a very ancient book, about 2,000 years old. So as long as I have these books on me, I can always return home, but obviously in my head, in my mind.
对，我其实在国内我也是这样的。当那个警察老是跟我制造不断的一种麻烦，我感觉到不自由的时候，然后我就老是告诉我，这只是一个共产党的国家，它不是我的祖国，就是。
And in China, the policemen often cause a lot of trouble to my life, and I often feel I often feel I'm not a free man in China. So whenever that happened, I will keep reminding me, this is not my country. This is the Communism Party's country at the moment. This is not the country I belong to.
In fact, you've written about how you feel a responsibility to tell the world about what you call the true spirit of China, which you say is a spirit will outlast the totalitarian government. Can you tell us a little bit about what you see as the true spirit of China?
就是您提到过，中国有自己真正的一种精神，这种真正的精神会比中国政府的这种统治要长远得多。那您谈到的这种精神是一个什么样的精神呢？
这个就是一种就是我的吹箫的师傅那个老和尚告诉我的，我从来就没有在其他一个精英的知识分子，中国的那么多精英号称精英的那么知识分子听到这种东西，但是这种东西呢，就说他可能就是埋藏在某些地方，就说如果是你没有机缘，你肯定是碰不到。就说呢，那从这个角度来说，我应该感谢监狱。监狱将给了我这么多的磨难，甚至让我自杀2次，但是最后让我碰见了我的师父，他让我就说那个知道了什么叫中国精神。这种中国精神，它肯定比那个专制的这么一个社会更加的长远，因为他这种我师父这个老和尚传承的，包括他的箫，包括他的那个就是他的这么一个为人。那这几千年来，中国人就是这么一个如此。之所以他能够就是吸引西方，也就是靠这么一个中国精神。而共产党算什么？共产党就是一个流氓，他既没有文化，也没有传统，真是就是一个流氓。就说这个流氓，很多那个西方的政客和那个商人还认可他。就是这个，就是说，当还和这一个流氓、一个杀人犯做生意，然后好像就说，我真是不能够理解。他们理解中国吗？觉得中国是一个什么东西啊？他们把那个中国就看成共产党嘛，看成中国就是一个应该是一个流氓，就是说一个脱光了身，把全身赤裸裸，左边是刺刀，右边是钞票，就说然后你要做生意，我就给你钞票，然后你要反抗我，我就对付你，我就用刺刀。难道中国就是这样吗？就说那个但是这些我是相信。这些是短暂的，在中国几千年的历史长河当中，这些是非常短暂的，这些终究会过去。
The true spirit of China, this is something I do not experience in so many so-called elite intellectuals in China today. I never experienced that. What I experienced, where I feel this true spirit, is mainly from my master. This master is the old monk I met in the prison. I hate the prison life, but I'm also thankful for the prison life. The prison life, from him, from how he does things, and from his music, and I could feel China, which has existed for thousands of years. That is the true spirit. But Communism Party, that is just a temporary thing. To me, Communism Party is just a gangster. It has no culture, it has no tradition, it's full of murderers. So I just do not understand why so many Western politicians and businessmen still want to deal with Communism Party, want to do business with them. I do not know what they see in Communism Party. So to me, Communism Party is a gangster with two tools. One is knife and the other is cash. So if you want to be peaceful with me, probably you can get some cash. If you do not want to be nice, probably you will get stabbed. So that is Communism Party to me. However, I do believe this is a temporary thing because China has a long history, thousands of years, and the Communism Party has only been there for a limited of time, and I believe it will be over sometime.
I've seen you write on 2 different occasions about a sense of responsibility, of bearing witness to history. But I also, in the piece I saw in the Paris Review, I read about your struggle with a growing sense of futility. How do you work through that paradox?
就是说呢，您在也写过，就是说，对于呢历史呢，我们有一部分呢是说我们要作为历史的一个见证者，我们要为过去的历史做见证。另外一个方面呢，我们也需要向前迈进。就是说，在这样的一种，您是怎样来平衡的？
其实中国的历史它就是在回忆当中。如果说我们只是向前迈进，我们可以遗忘。我们也可以忘记那些杀人犯的话，那历史永远都没有什么前进，历史只有更加的堕落。我的历史就是从1989年6月那天开枪，因为我看见了80年代中国人的精神状况，每一个人都非常的爱国，每一个人都非常希望这个中国通过一种改革走向民主，走向就是说美好的一种明天。但是共产党他就是用开枪告诉了我们，这个国家你是不能爱的。你要真正爱这个国家，如果你不是一个虚伪的人，你是真诚的爱这个国家，他就要用开枪来对付你，就要杀死你。那这样看起来，中国人有什么第二条路可走？你如果是不想失去自己的生命，那就只有爱钱。共产党给你提供了这么一条道路。那么这样看起来，我们就必须要记住历史。今天中国人的堕落，今天中国人变成世界上最大的垃圾场，他的那一刻就是开枪。我是永远记得那个枪声，在天安门，就是在整个北京死了2000到3000人，血淋淋的屠杀。难道有了这个，我们还有未来吗？未来是什么？如果说那个是天上有公义，上帝能够给我们一个公义的话，他就应该回忆，上帝也应该回忆，也应该朝后看。他应该就说这个未来到底是一个什么？只有记住历史，只有罪恶得到清算，只有把这么一个不义的一个政府，他们每一个人得到清算的时候，中国人才有未来，才能够恢复我们传统当中那些非常美好的这么一些东西。
To me, my biggest responsibility, I think, is to witness what has happened, to be the witness of the history. And to me, my history starts from 1989, from the Tiananmen massacre. I clearly remembered in the early 80s how everyone were very excited after the Cultural Revolution, and everyone loved their country, and everyone hoped that the reform will bring democracy and prosperity to China. Everyone believed in that. But when gunshots started, and that just ruined everyone's dream, because this country, you cannot love it with your heart. You just cannot do it. So if you are not a hypocrite, and then it becomes impossible. So unless you are a hypocrite, otherwise it's just difficult to love this country. So what is a way out? So the Communism Party created a way out for the Chinese people, that is to look for money. So this is the way the Communism Party has created. Look at China now. China is becoming like a rubbish dump. So in 1989, only in Beijing, 2,000 to 3,000 people died. So if we do not look for justice for these people, so what will the future lie? Where will the future lie? I do not know. If there's God, God will also look for justice for these people. So we have to remember history. So this unrighteous government have to pay for what it has done.
We could speak for much longer. We barely even touched on your extraordinary book, The Corpse Walker, which I highly recommend to everyone who hasn't read it. But I know that there will be some people in the audience who will want to ask you questions too, and I should open some space up for them as well. There will be some volunteers with microphones. If you could wait just a few seconds, I think in the third row there, a lady with her hand up.
对，时间不是很多了，就是也要介绍一下您的书，就是那本非常好的那个书《赶尸人》，而且也要给那个观众留点时间问问题，可能第3排有观众想问问题。
Liao Yiwu, thank you very much indeed. I wonder if you'd share with us your views on the current self-immolation protests of Tibetan monks and Buddhists, monks and nuns in China.
I beg your pardon, what's protest in China?
The self-immolation, monks and nuns, Tibetan monks and nuns are putting themselves on fire in protest.
I see.
As we speak almost, it's happening a record number this year, including in the last few days.
想请问您一下，对于现在在西藏的有一些和尚和尼姑他们自焚抗议这个事情有什么观点？
当然，我非常钦佩就是他们这个民族。虽然说我们汉民族有这么大的10多亿人，藏族民族可能是他们是一个非常小的一个民族，但是他们敢于用这么一个英勇的一个行为去实践自己的对信仰的这么一个追求，我觉得我心里面非常的感动。但是我作为一个尊重生命来说，我也不希望他们自焚。但是最起码就是说，曾经有一个西藏的流亡者，就是问我，就说我们在海外应该怎么办？就说我们也没有自己的家，也没有自己的那个国土，我们这个整个国土就是已经是在共产党手里。我说你们至少有你们的达赖喇嘛，有你们的噶玛巴，有你们的这个转世的这么一个传统，那这个家乡永远是在你们的心里面。可能如果说这个自焚的喇嘛就是怀着这么一个信念的话，哪怕就是他的身体遭受自焚，他非常的疼痛，但是他在那一刻他的心也是安宁的。
Well, Tibetan people, first of all, I want to say I really admire Tibetan people. Our Han nation, the majority in China is Han people, and we have more than 1 billion people. But Tibetan people in Tibet, they are minority nation in China. They are not comparing to Han. That's a very small number. But I admire them. They have very strong faith in their belief. That's something I really admire. However, I do not really want them to suffer. I do not want to see such things happen. Once I have met a Tibetan people who is on exile, and they ask me, what shall we do? We do not have home. We do not have a country. So everything is under Communism Party. So what shall we do? So I said, at least you have faith because you believe in Dalai Lama, you believe in this life cycle. That's your belief. So you always have hope. So I believe when those monks and those nuns, when they set them on fire, so I just pray they have peace in their hearts because they have faith.
Any other questions? I think there's one on the left there.
With the prosperity that is happening in China, with the prosperity today in China, where would you see the change coming from in the future that might overturn the present regime or at least make some change to bring back a more cultural attitude?
就是现在呢，在中国经济的确实是现在繁荣了很多。就是中国这个经济繁荣的这个状况下，您觉得从哪里会有一种力量要推倒现在的政府，或者是说要还原中国在文化上面的一些真实？这个力量从何而来？
我觉得中国经济腾飞的背后，就是人心人性自然的这么一个毁坏，这就是真相。 比如说那个修一栋房子，可能就是给你们西方人造成了一个印象，觉得这个城市发展非常之快，然后那个就是那个房子也修得非常之高，然后他们的观念也非常的现代化。中国越来越强大，他们也举办了奥运会。但是你知道吗？这一切和中国的每一个底层的老百姓没有什么关系。我一再就是强调，就是说我经常举的一个例子，就是当我坐在成都的闹市区，就是那个天府广场，我就坐在那儿，我就在想啊，我搞不清楚这样一些高楼和中国普通的老百姓有什么关系。可能他们就是终其一生劳累了一生，按照他们现在的每个月挣的钱的水平，买不起任何一个单元，甚至买不起闹市区的一个厕所。我当时就想起非常非常的悲哀，就说，然后这个经济腾飞到底和任何一个老百姓没有关系，甚至就说他们从清朝手里开始存钱。可能他的祖父的爸爸开始存钱，有清朝的钱，然后有国民党的钱，然后有政府的钱，把这些钱所有的加起来，也许可以买一个市中区的一个小小的一个房子。那么这个经济腾飞到底是为了什么？这些经济腾飞，再过个10-20年，这些修房子的人，他到底在哪个地方？他肯定就是在西方修了这个房子之后，他就把这个通过修房子贪污来的钱移民到西方，这个国家也和他没有什么关系。这样看起来就是完全是一种泡沫，和中国老百姓也没有关系，和这些修房子的人也没有关系。这就是一个虚假的国家，就好像奥威尔的1984就是这么一个虚假的国家。有一天这个国家会变成一个垃圾场，一个废墟，但是和这些修房子的人和老百姓和每一个中国人没有任何关系。
I believe prosperity is just on the surface because I can prove to you it's not related to the people. In China, the reality is people's hearts are all very, very polluted. In China, the West always see tall buildings in China being built every day. And in China, there are new thinkings, obviously, and also China has held Olympic Games already. So probably the West has seen many new things in China. But I want to tell you, it is not related to the people. For example, in my hometown, Chengdu, sometimes I would sit on the square in downtown Chengdu, and I would sit there and watch all those tall buildings and think, all those buildings, they has nothing to do with people. For example, an average worker or a peasant, they cannot afford to buy any apartment there, not even a toilet. And I have done a calculation. A family, even they started to save for an apartment from Qin Dynasty 200 or 300 years ago. And they keep saying through Chiang Kai-shek's time, but till now, they still cannot afford a decent apartment in downtown Chengdu. So all this prosperity, it is not related to the people. And I also thought about where the money went. So probably the builders have made a lot of money. But in China, many rich people, after they became rich, they choose to migrate to other countries. So all this prosperity, this is just a show. It is not related to the people. And China, in general, to me, it's becoming like a rubbish dump.
I think we'll have to cut the audience questions short at this point because we have one last treat in store, and that is that Liao Yiwu will be reading a poem that he's written called A Sad Song on June the 4th, and then I'll be reading out the translation. Can you tell us when you wrote the poem before you read it?
就下面呢，就请廖义武先生给我们朗诵一个诗歌《六四悲歌》。 然后呢，这个《六四悲歌》这一首诗，想请问您一下，您是什么时候写的呢？什么背景？
这个是2007年那个时候，就说那个，当时那个刘晓波给我就说那个，我们有很多那个交谈，但是我们俩都对那个就是中国的那个现状非常的失望，觉得很多人已经忘记了。然后那个刘晓波当时的那个情绪，然后也是非常的低落，就是。但是我当时就写了这么一首歌，我觉得因为刘晓波他是一个思想者，他就是有很多但是我觉得我就是一个底层的这么一些混混，我有些东西我没有办法解答，然后呢，就是在这么一种百感交集之下，我写了这么一首歌。
This poem was written in the year 2007. In that year, I met with Liu Xiaobo, and we had lots of conversation. And both of us are very, very disappointed because it seems Chinese people have forgotten the history. So Liu Xiaobo was feeling very, very low, and I was too. But as Liu Xiaobo, I think he is a thinker. He can express himself, but me, I'm not a thinker. I'm just an average person. So that's when I wrote this poem.
Okay, please go ahead.
你可以跟他们说一下这首歌的意思，可以。
他会说的。
哦，好。
Yeah, so you will explain it in English later, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he wants to confirm it.
这个我不用。月夜穿过丛林，想起我的爱人，长眠在寂静的黄土，远方传来枪声。当年热血沸腾，肩挑祖国的命运，如今空空的双拳，岁月折断了刀刃。月夜穿过回忆，想起我的爱人，生着我流浪中老去，死着你永远年轻。穿过丛林，想起我的爱人，长眠在黄土，远方传来了枪声。当年热血沸腾，肩挑祖国命运，如今空空的双拳，岁月折断了刀刃。月夜穿过回忆，想起我的爱人，生着我流浪 永远年轻，趁着我流浪中老去，试着你永远年轻。月夜穿过回忆，想起我的爱人。月夜穿过回忆，想起我的爱人。
A sad song on June the 4th. Moonlight shines through bushes. It makes me think of my love. She sleeps in silence in the ground. Gunshots were fired from afar. I was once hot-blooded, shouldering the nation's fate. Now I am empty-handed. Time has broken my sword. Moonlight shines through memory. It makes me think of my love. As one of the living, I'm getting older, wandering around. As one of the dead, you are always young. Liao Yiwu, it's been a great pleasure speaking with you tonight. I'd like you all to thank Liao Yiwu and Li Ling.